We hate talking about this, and it makes sense because it's embarrassing, it's shameful. Of course, we don't want to expose ourselves that we have a problem, but the statistics don't lie. Most people and most men struggle with this. When it comes to Christian men, there might be an expectation that somehow we've mastered this thing and it's not an issue for us. I'm here to tell you that it is. But you know that already, because as much as we try to put on this good Christian facade at church and with our Christian friends, life kind of looks different at home. Here's the deal. Here's what I discovered. I think there is a counterintuitive way that we should be battling lust that most men don't even come close to touching. That's what I'm going to share with you in this video. But first, I need to show you and illustrate the real problem with how we tend to deal with this. This may be your story. Like, you've been trying to battle this for a long time. Maybe you got exposed at a very early age. A lot of people have. And yet now you're making a commitment to yourself, like, I should cut this out. And yet no matter how hard you try, you just keep trying harder, you get discouraged because you keep failing. I would try to put in more and more effort into trying to battle this lust, this enemy that everyone's telling me, like, you got to put this to death, and I'm trying. But I failed. I would fail again and again and again. So then what would I do? I just beat myself up. Isaac, you're such an idiot. Isaac, like, do you even love God? These are the type of things that I would say to myself after falling, after stumbling, after falling again into this thing that I hate. I felt like a loser, and I felt gross. And that was just kind of my identity. It wasn't an identity that I had on the outside. No, on the outside, I was a good Christian guy and I did what was right and I'm responsible and all that. But on the inside, I felt like a loser. And because this old identity was ruling my life, this was how I knew myself to be, I acted consistently with that old identity. Okay, I'm gross. Okay, I'm a pervert. Okay, I'm a loser. What does a person like that, a person that believes those things about themselves, how do they act? They act in accordance with that identity. Hey, quick thing. It can be so hard to know what to do when you're struggling with porn. It can feel really hopeless and isolating. You might feel this deep sense of guilt and shame. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Relay. Relay is a community-based platform where people can find connection and support to overcome their issues and experience deeper healing. It's trusted by over 10,000 other men and has helped so many find freedom. Relay places you in a small group for daily accountability. What I really love about them is that they have a holistic approach to battling temptation by providing you with daily check-ins so then you can see your progress and others can encourage you as well. Seriously, guys, I've never been this excited about a sponsor before. And the reason is I think this could be a huge tool in your tool belt as you seek lasting change and transformation in your life. To get started, click the link below to download the app or scan the QR code and make sure to use the code IsaacD to get 7 days free. Thanks to Relay for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. For so long, my primary emphasis was just looking at the bad thing that I didn't want to do and just focus on it so much and just try so hard to stop it, to cut it out. But then I realized, what if I stopped focusing primarily on this unwanted behavior, ungodly behavior that I knew was wrong, that displeased God, that was sinful? Like, instead of just focusing all of my attention on trying to rid myself of this and get rid of it and battle against it and set up accountability and join accountability groups and do all that stuff that seems like a good idea and probably is a relatively good idea. But instead of focusing on that first and foremost, what if I focused on me? Focused on what are the things that are guiding me and leading me to this kind of behavior? What is it in me? Obviously, it's sin, right? But sin can play its way out into our hearts and our minds and cause all sorts of disorder. That what if I understand that? Then maybe I would have a better chance at beating this. In Ray Ortlund's book, The Death of Porn, he quotes Irenaeus here, and he says, "The glory of God is a man fully alive." And basically what Ray proposes in this book, which was really helpful for me, by the way, is that we as men are made to be fully alive. Fully alive. But way too often in our culture, in our world, in our life, we're not even close to that. In fact, we feel like a wasting away zombie, maybe even an animal controlled by our base impulses, playing into the old identity that we cling so tightly into. This is just who we believe we are. So here was basically my takeaway. instead of, okay, I'm just going to try to battle against this, battle against this, I want to receive a new identity and I want to become fully alive, a man fully alive. Because here was my thesis, and what I took from it is that if I am a man that is fully alive in God, right? I am the man that, I really believe that God has called me to be, then lust and pornography aren't going to be something that I have to constantly battle against, but they just won't be. It won't be the outcome of my life. It won't be something that I'll be looking for. It won't be something that I'll be as tempted by, because there's so much wholeness and life and joy and pleasure in other aspects of my life. My purpose will be so clear that the idea of shifting into lust and pornography will seem like ridiculous. The first thing that we need to address here is our identity. The fact that we are clinging on to this identity that we're gross and we're beating ourselves up over not doing well enough. And that's not recognizing the gospel. The gospel is that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He took the penalty on himself so that we could be free, so that we could become a new creation. It was hard to realize for me, like this was a tough one, that shame is a bad motivator. Shame is just a bad motivator. As much as we try to just beat ourselves into submission and into good works and into being the person that we think we're supposed to be, just calling yourself names, thinking really poorly of yourself doesn't help at all. It actually reaffirms the negative actions that you want to get away from because it makes you feel hopeless. Hopelessness is what we want to avoid. We want to become a man fully alive in Christ. So we definitely need a new motivator. It cannot be shame. It has to be love. Sometimes people get it wrong. They think about, I just need to have love for God, like as if he's some abstract being just in the universe and I just have so much love for him, so I'm going to act according to how he wants me to act. No, you have a relationship with him. Like think about having a close relationship with somebody, on this earth, right? And maybe it's your dad or just a close friend or your mom or your sister. You want to honor them in how you live your life. Like you wouldn't do something that would really hurt them and cause them pain or cause them hurt because you love them. We love God so much. We're in relationship with God. We're praying without ceasing. So to turn to one of these outlets and vices and coping mechanisms instead of him is like spitting in his face. So it's love for God. I want you to lock that in. When I have a close relationship with God, that becomes the driving force of my behavior. It's not just the tool that I use to beat lust. It's the overflowing of my heart in every decision that I make. I am living a life fully alive and dedicated to God. So I'm stepping into this new identity. There's this great story in the Bible that Jesus tells of this son who takes his inheritance, like all of his father's inheritance for him, and he goes off to a distant land. He spends it all on reckless living. So we're talking prostitutes, gambling, partying, all the things that you could possibly do with a lump sum of money, and he blows it all. And then he's starving. He's so hungry, so he goes to work for this farmer. And then he gets so hungry that he's even jealous of what the pigs are eating. And he wakes up one day and he's like, what am I doing? Even the servants who serve my father, they're getting 3 square meals a day. And I'm not even going to get that. So I'm going to go back to my father. And I'm just going to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't deserve to be your son anymore. I just want to be a servant. So that's what he does. And he fully expects to have this full speech and tell him that, hey, you know what? I don't deserve to be your son anymore. I just am going to be a servant. And yet, maybe you know what happens. The father sees him from a distance and he runs up to them and he's celebrating. He's so happy because his son was lost, but now he's found. And he throws a party for this son. And this reminds me of our identity. I think so often we feel like we need to take the identity on as a servant. Okay, God, I don't deserve to be your son anymore. I've done all this bad stuff. And so just take me in as a servant. But God is like that father. He's the one who wants to receive us and will receive us as a son. As you're thinking about this, I know this is a lot of information, but I want you to grab a pen and paper and write down what a man fully alive looks like to you. What are the decisions that he's making? What are his characteristics? Is this a man that's confident in who he is, that's confident in God's love for him and his significance in God's eyes? A man that can serve, a man that is driven towards particular goals and for excellence, to work for God and not for man. I just find so often we focus on how can I beat lust? But I'd rather leave you with this. How can I become a man fully alive in Christ? What are the decisions that I should make, even today, the small decisions, to take that step out in faith, in purpose, that are consistent with my new identity, and not continuing to beat myself up and reaffirm the old identity that isn't even true about me? No, I'm a child of God. I want you to think about it this way. Like, as much as lust may be a part of your problem, it's not the only problem, okay? You don't just have a lust problem. You might have a boredom problem. You have a hopelessness problem. You have an anxiety problem. You have a fear or worry problem. How are those things going to be remedied? Well, to me, it's about turning to God when we experience those negative emotions and seeking Him as our Father, as our friend, and not these kind of empty, worthless coping mechanisms that don't satisfy, that make us feel so much worse, that don't do what they say they're going to do, which is make us feel better. Sure, it gives us momentary distraction, but ultimately they do not lead us in the path that we want to go, into our purpose, into becoming a man fully alive. There's so much more I could say here. So I encourage you to subscribe, because I'll put out more content around this topic, hopefully fleshing it out even further. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If this helped you, what you took away from it, and maybe some of your own insight in your journey as well. Until next time, keep pursuing the mission.